Hey, it's been a while since we've seen our old friend the Sunshine in downtown Cincinnati after a rainy weekend. But some blue skies starting to show up, and the finale of this three-game series. And the Reds this year are trying to make it a perfect 7-0 record against the Los Angeles Dodgers, who would have thunk it. Hi again, everybody, alongside Chris Welsh and Brian Giesenslaw. I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome to Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. How do you explain it, Chris? A Dodger team that is very much in the hunt to try and get to the playoffs, and the Reds have completely dominated them.
I have no explanation for it. Dave Roberts has no explanation. Jim Riggleman, nobody has explanation, but just enjoy it while it happens here. They've got a 6-0 run against the Dodgers. The run differential, very impressive. Almost a 300 batting average as a team, which is incredible. And the earned run average is way down there. Of course, the Dodgers didn't score more than 3 runs in any game that they swept them out there in Dodger Stadium. Maybe they can keep that going here.
Well, a big reason why that team batting average is 297 is because Scooter Gennett's hitting almost 800.
The magic wand. Scooter Gennett, I understand, set up a roadblock for the Dodgers bus, so they will not be able to get to the airport this afternoon. He wants some more hitting against these guys. And, I mean, everything he puts in place seems to be falling in there. They put the shift on him, it doesn't matter. They bring the outfield around, it doesn't matter. I mean, Scooter Gennett right now is on some kind of tear.
Look at those numbers. 16 for 22. Unbelievable is right. All right, when we come back, we'll have the first pitch and all the action. Reds going for the sweep. Anthony DeSclafani getting the start against Ross Stripling. First pitch coming up next. By Chevy, check out their award-winning lineup only at your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. We're feeling good on this beautiful day in Cincinnati. What about the rest of the day?
I'm meteorologist Tara Blake with a fantastic forecast for the ballpark, and it should solidify a sweep of this series against the Dodgers. 12:35, your first pitch, mostly cloudy and 70. 7th inning at 74 and a high of only 75. Does it get any better? Let's make it a win.
Doesn't get any better than that. And a crowd rolling in for this 12:35 Eastern Time first pitch. Reds swept a 4-game series in Los Angeles back in the month of May. And they have come back to win the first 2 games of a 3-game set against the Dodgers here at Great American Ballpark. We had a wild one here 2 nights ago. Reds out clubbing the Dodgers 10-6. But then last night, Chris, all about Luis Castillo, so good in that 3-1 win.
He was electric early in the year, early in the ball game especially, Tom, and he just set the pace for this game by throwing fastballs and then great changeups. He had the best changeup that I've seen him have all year long. Dodgers agreed with that. With the strikeouts that he had, he got out of here just before the 7th inning was complete. And maybe Anthony DeSclafani, when he takes him out today, can go back and do what he did 3 times in a row when he started off the month of August by pitching 7 innings for the Reds as a starter.
And allowing 1 run or less in each of those 3 starts. His last outing not quite as good against San Diego on Friday night. When 4 innings, allowed 8 hits, 4 runs, didn't walk a batter, struck out 3, only threw 64 pitches in that game. In fact, his last 2 starts, he's not lasted longer than 4 innings. Let's take a look at the Dodgers lineup. They did not lose any ground in the National League West last night. Still a game and a half back as the Diamondbacks are now 2.5 back of Colorado. It'll be Peterson in left, Turner back in a lineup at third, Machado over to short after playing third last night. Muncy at first, Grandal catching, Bellinger in center, Kike Hernandez at second, Yasiel Puig in right, and Stripling is on the mound.
Well, you talked about DeSclafani's last outing and his previous outing to that. I mean, both of those times it seemed like he was just struggling a little bit. And you may say, well, he had early hooks. I mean, Riggleman went to get out and get him before there was too much damage done. But he was clearly not on the edges like he needs to be. He's a guy that pounds the bottom of the zone, has a nice slider. He has been really effective as far as filling up the strike zone with pitches. I mean, early in the count, walks have not been a problem. He comes right after the hitters.
This is his 18th start of the year after beginning the season, of course, on the disabled list. It's his 5th career start and appearance against the Dodgers. He has not faced this team since 2016, and there are a lot of new faces on this club since then. We are set to go. Chris Guccione, the home plate umpire. David Rackley at first. Larry Vanover, the crew chief, at second. Jansen Visconti is the umpire at third, and we're off and running. It is a fastball, strike 1 to Peterson, and this one is underway. 241 batter. Peterson in this series clubbed his 20th home run. That came last night, the lone Dodger run. 0-2. When DeSclafani has faced the Dodgers, he's been very good. But as we mentioned, you're talking about 14, pitching for the Marlins, couple of starts in 15, 1 start in 16 with the Reds. 0-2 pitch in the air. And an easy play out there for Scott Schebler. 1 away. Well, in those starts, the last 3 of them anyway, all with the Reds. DeSclafani not getting a win despite 18 strikeouts, 4 walks. In every appearance he's made against him, 3 as a Red, 4 total. He's gone at least 6 innings and never allowed, well, 1 time allowed 4 runs, everything else 2 or fewer.
Yeah, completely different rosters probably for both teams.
For sure. Well, here's Justin Turner. Bounce into a fielder's choice in his lone at bat of the game last night. Did not get the start. He has been a major force at the plate for the Dodgers since coming back from the DL. A little bleeder into center, and Billy will get there in time. Nicely done by Billy Hamilton, per usual.
Well, if the ball hangs into the air just a moment too long, Hamilton is right there. In fact, that's a stat that I would love to see, and I'm sure they track it somewhere. How long does a ball have to be in the air before you know Billy Hamilton is going to be able to run it down, no matter where it is? I mean, because he covers so much ground, whether he comes in towards home plate or back towards the wall. If you got a little extra hang time, you might as well go ahead and take a left and head on back to the dugout.
5 pitches for the first 2 outs, and now Machado. We've seen him twice at shortstop in this series, and he started at third base last night. Big acquisition from Baltimore at the deadline. Probably the single biggest name to change teams at the break.
Oh man, he was just rumored. I mean, for how many months did we hear every day a Manny Machado rumor of going to this club or that club or so-and-so's interested? Uber talented, no doubt about it. I can say, and I think a lot of people would agree, who if they've only seen this series, not impressed with the attitude and the work habits so far. Not in a ball club that's trying to grind it out to stay atop the National League West.
Well, I think that you can say that about 2 or 3 players on this team that we've seen.
Yeah, that's true.
Whether it's this series and our first seeing Machado as a Dodger, or whether it's watching a couple of other players. Good play there. Really good play there by Jose Peraza, and it's a 1-2-3 opening inning for Anthony DeSclafani. Here come the Redlegs when we return. Today. They'll go with Schebler in right, Peraza at short. Votto back in the lineup, had a rare day off yesterday. Suarez at third, Jeanette at second, and Tucker Barnhart back behind the plate. Mason Williams is starting left. DeSclafani bats 8th, Billy Hamilton 9th. This is the first start since the early part of August for a young man who was a National League All-Star this year, right-hander Ross Stripling.
Well, he's had some back injuries, and that's what landed him on the disabled list. In fact, they figured that when he came back off the DL, they've got enough talent on his ball club that he would go right into the bullpen. Well, he did. He pitched 1/3 of an inning his last time out, and now he's a starter. So don't expect him to throw more than 40 to 50 pitches. It'll be a bullpen game here today for the Dodgers.
Here's Schebler. And he looks at a first pitch fastball outside. Scott at 276. Hit his 16th home run last night. Has 47 runs batted in. Schebler comes in with a 7-game hitting streak. 10 hits in his last 28 at bats. And it's time for our Indeed player resume. During the 7-game hit streak, of those 10 hits, 3 of them have left the yard. He scored 7, knocked in the same total. Schebler joins Jose Peraza coming into play today, each with the 7-game hit streaks. Boy, what a run Peraza's been on. He's been almost unconscious. He'll bat next, and then Votto. 2-2. You saw the note there a minute ago. Stripling has not started a game in over a month. Got to go all the way back to early August at Coors Field, and he threw a beautiful game that day. 6 innings, Allowed 4 hits and just 1 run. In his 17 starts this year, a 2.9 earned run average, great strikeout to walk ratio. 3-2. Three balls and 2 strikes on Schebler. And he draws the leadoff walk. We were just talking about this strikeout to walk ratio. It is the best among all National League pitchers this year. Look at the next 3 names on that list. I mean, you're talking about the elite of the elite. Kershaw's had his struggles this year with injuries, but with Scherzer and DeGrom have just been beyond belief. Here's Peraza. We mentioned he too with a 7-game hitting streak. There goes Schebler. Got a late start. Don't know if that's a missed hit and run. Certainly appeared to be the case, because he did not get a good enough jump to be trying to steal that base, or so it looked up here.
You know, I don't really know for sure, because you know, you're always looking for a breaking ball to go on. Stripling throws a lot of off-speed pitches, and it certainly doesn't look like a missed hit and run. We haven't really seen the Reds do much hit and running under Jim Riggleman at all. In fact, I can recall maybe only 1 so far since he's taken over, but an easy throw him out there for Yasmani Grandal.
You're right. After looking at that replay, that straight steal all the way, and Schebler cut down immediately after drawing a leadoff walk. 2-0 now on Peraza. Boy, Peraza loves playing here on the home front. There is no 2 ways about that. He has been nearly a .360 batter with an on-base percentage of over .400 in 32 games since July the 1st.
You know, the impressive thing for me with Peraza is how short his swing is, and how he, even when he does hit a ball out of the ballpark or off the wall, he doesn't start lengthening his swing trying to hit more of those. Very quick.
And there it is. Very short, very quick, and very much gone.
Now the Dodgers have to wonder what the heck hit them. Happened last night. Brandon Dixon hit a home run in the 2nd inning, launched the way out of here. Scott Schebler followed up with a solo shot to lead off the 3rd inning, and with only 1 out here in the 1st inning, there goes 1 off the bat of Peraza.
I know it's beginning to sound like a broken record, but as this season continues to go on, what a year Peraza is putting together. 11 home runs. He has over 30 doubles. His on-base percentage has made an enormous climb from this time a year ago, and Votto bangs one into center field, a base hit. So Joey back in the lineup here today. He knocked in 2 runs with a double his first at bat. You may remember in that 10-6 win here on Monday night. Then struck out the next 3 times. Got a night off last night. And right back at it today. And yep, trying to get some of the smoke from the fireworks after the Peraza home run out of there.
We haven't had a smoke delay this year.
I'm still trying to figure out how we didn't have a cold delay this year after some of those games we were playing back in April.
We got paid back there for what, 5 or 6 hours of rain delays over this last weekend in that Padres series.
Here's a Eugenio Suarez. He looks at a strike. "32 home runs, 101 runs batted in for Suarez."
That 92 miles an hour is about what Stripling will. He'll live right around that area. He won't top out much more than that. He throws, 40% fastballs and a combination of slider, curveball, and changeup to fill in the rest.
The 101 runs batted in, the most among all National Leaguers. He's one better than the duo of Javier Baez and the surging Trevor Story of the Colorado Rockies. Story a few days ago hit 3 home runs in a single game and starting to put up big time numbers. And Colorado needs it, trying to hold off both these Dodgers and Arizona. Hit hard, but right at Puig. Snatched that ball before it hit the grass, 2 down. We're talking about Scooter Gennett and what he has done to the Dodgers this year. It's an Elk and Elk storyline. Going all the way back to 1900, the highest batting average by any single player against any single opponent, with a minimum of 20 at-bats. Look at those numbers for Scooter Gennett. It's interesting that 4 of those 5 came against the Dodgers. And you think about all the great pitching the Dodgers by and large have had through the entire history of the franchise.
So look at right here in 1997, it was Chris Steins and Barry Larkin wearing them out, one after another.
And our old buddy, the late great, what a beautiful man he was, Gordy Coleman. Gosh, what a great guy. Of course, for many, many years, Chris, he sat in your seat right here in the TV
he
booth.
was the Reds, the head of the Reds Speakers Bureau in the offseason. Boy, he told some funny stories.
What a guy. One and 0-1 Scooter. And now 2 balls and no strikes. Two and 0 to count, and nowhere near the strike zone. Well off the outside corner. 3 balls and no strikes. One on, 2 out, 1 in on a home run from Peraza. And if Gennett likes this one, you can rest assured he'll cut it loose 3-0. But on the outside corner, that's a pitcher's pitch. Most of the time you talk to batters, and they're looking for one pitch, generally fastball, in one very small zone. Outside of that, most times they'd tell you they'll let it go.
When Stripling is on his game, he's got very good control. He walks about 4% of the right-handed batters that he faces, which puts him in the top 10 in the league. Against left-handers, what he does is throw an awful lot of breaking pitches, a lot of change-ups, curveballs. Haven't seen the curve very much yet today, but that last pitch was a change-up, and wouldn't be surprised if he goes right back to it here.
Votto gets started on a 3-2 pitch, and Gennett waits. Struck him out on a high fastball, and that'll end the inning. But the Reds get a home run by Peraza and jump out at the end of 1 to a 1-0 advantage. flanked by Williams and Schebler. Billy already a diving catch in this one. Peraza has already homered in this one. And DeSclafani went through a 1-2-3 opening inning. So here he'll face Max Muncy. And quickly ahead, strike one.
Well, 3 days against the Dodgers and 3 different first basemen. Although we've seen Muncy in the game, it was David Freese that started the first day. Bellinger started yesterday, and Muncy gets a call at first base today.
We talked about all the talent up and down this Dodger roster, but, you know, look, we were talking about how hard it is to believe. And, I mean, we're going to have some numbers for you as this game moves along that, from a historical standpoint, puts into perspective what the Reds have done as a losing team this year against an opponent with a winning record, an opponent that will finish this year with a winning record, unless they were to lose every game the rest of the way. But outside of that, we know it's not going to happen. But just watching all of this talent in that third base side dugout, and something just seems off. Now, that's easy to say when you're 6-0 against opponent on the year. Because I'm sure against some other teams out there, they'll tell you the Dodgers are the best team in the league. They're strike 3 to Muncy.
Little slider. I'm not sure if that's where he wanted it, up above the strike zone or not, but it worked out perfectly. Muncy could not hold back. Immediately, Tucker Barnhart wanted a little second opinion. He didn't need it. Chris Guccione says, I got that one.
Yasmani Grandal, former #1 pick of the Reds out of the University of Miami at Florida, was involved in that big deal going from the Reds organization with Yonder Alonso, Edinson Volquez, and Brad Boxberger, now the Arizona closer, all in exchange to San Diego for Matt Latos.
If you remember at that time, this was pre-Tucker Barnhart. So basically the Reds at that time made a decision between Yasmani Grandal and Devin Mesoraco.
And, you know, at the very beginning of that decision, it looked like the Reds had made the correct one when Mesoraco hit 25 home runs, knocked in 80 runs, had a big year, went to the All-Star game. There's a strikeout by Grandal. But unfortunately, a pair of hip surgeries, a shoulder surgery later that cost Mesoraco the better part of 3 full years changed all that.
This time the high fastball gets right by Grandal, and back-to-back punch-outs here to start the second inning. Well, as it turned out, Grandal had a number of injuries as well as Devin Mesoraco. Ultimately, I think that the injuries that plagued Mesoraco, long-term impairment to be able to catch and be behind the plate. He missed so much time with hip labrum surgeries that just never really able to get back on track.
One ball and one strike on the reigning National League Rookie of the Year. That, of course, is named after former Dodger great and Hall of Famer Jackie Robinson. This is Cody Bellinger, I beg your pardon. One ball and one strike. Pull to the right side. Back-to-back perfect innings for DeSclafani. His team right back to the dugout, leading 1-0. About all the moving parts. We've seen Peterson in right and center and left, Puig in right field today, Bellinger at first, now in center field, Machado at short, third, short again, Hernandez in the outfield, Muncy over at first, and Grandal behind the plate. Jose Peraza, first inning solo home run. The difference in this one right now. Reds bat in the second inning, and Tucker Barnhart looks at a strike. Number of day games in baseball coming up shortly, including the Pirates and the Cardinals. St. Louis 3.5 back of Chicago. Cubs beat Milwaukee last night, evening that series at a game apiece. There's a foul ball, so the Cubs with a 2-game lead. They'll wrap up that series. It's very odd for the Cubs. They were supposed to have an off day tomorrow, so they scheduled a night game tonight. Well, that decision apparently has backfired, because now they have a 1-game makeup game tomorrow in Washington, D.C. after that crazy rainy weekend they had earlier. And so they'll get on a plane very late tonight, get in very early in the morning, and play a day game against the Nationals, and then turn right back around and fly to Chicago to begin a series against the Reds Friday afternoon.
Well, they'll end up playing, I think, almost 30 straight days with the makeups that they've had, taking up their off days. And that was one thing that when we handicapped the whole race, back to the time when we were last in Milwaukee, that was the one thing that kind of stood out to me at when you look at the schedule going down to the very end of the year. The Milwaukee Brewers had the most days off in the last month, and there's something like 6 days off, and that can really help you, especially when you're trying to align your pitching up.
And saving that bullpen.
Yeah.
Swing and a miss by Barnhart. He's out of there on strikes, and of course the bullpen's a huge part of Milwaukee's success so far this year. And there's a strike to Mason Williams, starting in left field today. Done a nice job when given the chance to play. A .303 batter. A couple of home runs, on base percentage right around .340. And you can play him anywhere in that outfield, and has played everywhere in the outfield, all 3 positions. DeSclafani batting in the number 8 spot in the batting order, waits in the on-deck circle with 1 out and 2 balls and a strike on Williams. Count even. We were talking about Brandon Dixon last night, and it started 4 straight games at 4 different positions, and when he shows up in spring training next year, everyone will know exactly who Brandon Dixon is. And Mason Williams trying to make the Reds feel the same way about him when they show up in Goodyear, Arizona. Good play made there at second base. Backhand pickup by Kike Hernandez. 2 down in the inning. MLB at bat, your number 1 Cincinnati Reds app. You can now stream Reds games with Fox Sports Go through the MLB at Bat app. Check it out. Download MLB at Bat today. Dixon, a monster home run here last night. He was filling in for Joey Votto, and then he made a very nice play to end the game on that bouncing ball where he tagged the runner going first and second and made the feed to the covering Iglesias for a double play to finish off the Dodgers in a 3-1 decision. Here's DeSclafani, strike one. Breaking ball in the outside corner, and that's to get ahead at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Reds had 3 straight base runners in that first inning against Stripling, and the walk to Schebler, but he was thrown out trying to steal. The home run immediately followed by Peraza, a single by Votto. And out on strikes is DeSclafani. So the Reds retired in order. 3 strikeouts in a game now for Stripling. And the Reds, as we go to the third, lead 1-0.
When it comes to the Boston Red Sox, they clinched their playoff berth last night. They continue to steamroll towards the postseason in Boston. And you talked about Trevor Story earlier in the game. How about the first shortstop with 40, 30, and 25 in MLB history? And we also mentioned Juan Soto last night, just 19. He hit another home run, 18 now on the season, 3rd most ever by a teenager, and the most multi-home run games ever by a teenager. Soto just 19 years old.
Heck, I remember, Brian, when it wasn't all that long ago, 95 if I'm not mistaken, when Barry Larkin won the National League's Most Valuable Player Award. He was the first shortstop to ever go 30-30 in a single season. And in that case, we're talking about home runs and stolen bases. Story, the 25 steals, legitimate chance to get to 30, and already with 40 bombs.
Of course, I think the deciding factor that year, for maybe the first time ever when Barry Larkin won that MVP, is that they factored in the intangible, the leadership, what he meant to the ball club, playing shortstop up the middle the way he did. The fact that he was, you know, the Reds' best leadoff hitter, and he was also the Reds' best number 3 hitter. They leaned on him in a big way.
And I beg your pardon, in 95 when Barry won the MVP, that wasn't his 30-30 year. The 30-30 year was the following year, so I stand corrected. That came in 1996. But, you know, you're right, because you look at the numbers back in that 95 year, and the one guy everybody thought would give Larkin a run for his money, or the two biggest names that year, were Dante Bichette.
Bichette, yeah.
And he just had those monster numbers. That was the pre-Humidor days out in Denver, Colorado. Votto on the high, one hopper off the bat of Hernandez. 7 straight retired by DeSclafani to begin this game.
And in a very easy fashion.
Yasiel Puig, second straight game. He's batting down in that number 8 hole. He's been there a lot this year. No balls and 2 strikes. Try to get him to chase that breaking ball once more, down and away. 1-2 to Puig.
Pretty dangerous number 8 hitter when you really think about it, although he only has 16 home runs this year.
Two-two pitch. And it's strike 3 called, and not sure Puig agrees with Chris Guccione. 3 strikeouts for DeSclafani.
Probably getting a little barking from the Dodger bench on this one, although from there it probably looks like a very good pitch. Barnhart didn't even move the glove right there. He didn't try to sell it by a big frame job, and I think I'm seeing a little shift in the way that Barnhart's receiving those pitches. Earlier in the year, he had a lot of glove movement, and sometimes you can talk an umpire out of it with too much movement. Very subtle is what you're trying to do.
Quickly 0-2 on Stripling.
Boy, nice, easy gas here this afternoon for DeSclafani.
Stripling
coming out of his hand, really nice.
2 hits and 29 at bats on the year, and should be able to put him away with 3 in a row. Yep, that'll take care of that. 9 straight set down by DeSclafani, striking out 4 of the 9.
reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, the Reds in Cincinnati Bell are excited to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the hit movie The Sandlot. Friday, September the 14th. You can enjoy this classic like never before on the Great American Ballpark video boards. Bring the entire family, and guess what? It's free to enjoy the show. For details, visit reds.com/movie night. Great idea. That's in 2 days from now, 2 nights from now. Reds will be out of town, so there's no game. Just come on down, free of charge, and watch Sandlot here at the old ballpark. Well, if the Reds hit a home run off that Toyota sign in right center field today, Bob Morrison from Cincinnati will win that beautiful new Tundra way out in left center field. And that's thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. 9-1-2 in the batting order. Reds lead 1-0. It'll be Hamilton, Schebler, and Peraza. You know, we were talking last night, Brandon Dixon and Scott Schebler each hitting home runs, and they were 2 of the 3 players the Reds acquired in that 3-team deal which involved Todd Frazier. Both Schebler and Dixon hitting home runs in a game last night. Well, guess what? The 3rd player acquired in that deal, Jose Peraza. So in the last 1 game and 1 inning, all 3 have homered in this series. And here's Hamilton turning it into a double. How about that? Just incredible what he's able to do with that speed.
I mean, it's an at-bat that you don't want to miss, because when he puts it in play, he does what in baseball, what in football people call forced errors. And Puig is coming in, you're thinking, all right, you know, I got to get to this ball in a hurry. And look, he doesn't even put his hand on it. He's worried so much about Hamilton's speed.
Urban Meyer, the great college football coach up at Ohio State University, uses a term all the time. I want the freaks. Yeah. Those are the guys he's looking for, and that's a term he uses frequently. And look, there are shortcomings to Billy Hamilton's game. Everybody knows that. There are shortcomings to a lot of players' games. But he is a freak in the things he's able to do because of that speed on offense and defense.
There was a time there that the Reds had the 2 biggest freaks in baseball with Billy Hamilton and Aroldis Chapman. I mean, there was no better show in the 9th inning than when the bullpen gates would open and Chapman would come out throwing 103 miles an hour. The first guy to do it. Mm-hmm. Of course, you got a lot of guys now that are throwing over 100 miles an hour, but he broke new ground there. And we had the debate, or at least the conversation, Tom, if you remember, what would you rather do? And if you're sitting at home, maybe you want to think, would you rather be able to run as fast as Billy Hamilton or throw as hard as Aroldis Chapman?
Chapman.
Yeah. Left-handed especially.
Although it would be really cool to run as fast as Billy Hamilton. That'd be awesome. Those of us who are getting lapped in the 2-mile run as high schoolers, swinging a foul ball back out of play. Hamilton could lap you in the 100-yard dash.
Easy.
You know, there was that study that was done a number of years ago, and they were clocking Billy Hamilton at different intervals. First 20 yards, first 40 yards, and comparing his times to the great Usain Bolt, fastest man in the world, the fastest man in the history of the world. And I tell you, it's mind-boggling. They're really not that far apart. They are far apart, don't get me wrong, but they're not that far apart. Nice job by Schebler to get Hamilton down to third base for the first out of the inning.
Sure makes the job a lot easier here for Peraza. Dodgers will probably bring, and they are bringing the infield in to play right at the edge of the infield grass. Now, we've seen the Reds play this particular play a lot of different ways, whether the contact play is on, and a lot of that time, whether the contact play is on depends on where the third baseman is playing. If he's snug up to the bag and keeping Hamilton close, then you don't go on contact.
White back to the mound. Soft liner caught by Stripling for the second out. It's a big out for the Dodgers.
Well, if that ball goes by the mound, even if it's fielded by the shortstop, they're going to give it a try.
Joey Votto had a line drive single into center field his first time up. Runner at third. The infield backs up naturally with 2 away. Ball 1.
It'll be interesting to see, really, watching Votto. His at-bats are interesting anyway, but ever since he has now gone on record saying that he found a mechanical glitch in his hitting stroke and is now going to hit for more power between now and the end of the year.
Well, he went a long time between home runs before clubbing home runs in back-to-back games over the weekend.
Well, now tied with Jose Peraza with home runs.
Two balls and no strikes, looking for something to hammer on this count. Dodgers will jump on the plane following the game here today and make their way to St. Louis, Missouri to face a team that swept them 3 in a row in Los Angeles earlier this year, the St. Louis Cardinals. And that will be a 4-game weekend series. It begins with Clayton Kershaw on the mound tomorrow night at Busch Stadium. Arizona and Colorado play tonight. They play again tomorrow afternoon. So a lot happening in that National League West. 3-2 on Votto. Runner at third, 2 outs. And that strike 3 looked at a fastball right down the can. Fox Sports Ohio, brought to you by O'Charlie's, home of free pie Wednesdays. By your local Ford dealer, Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, now ranked number 2 in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. Reds with a 1-0 lead as we're set to begin the 4th inning.
Well, happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tom Brenneman.
Thank you.
September 12th, a big day 55 years ago for your dad and mom.
Well, thank you very much.
Right up there. Double nickels now.
Get the AARP card sitting in the mail
I'm
today.
surprised you haven't already had that in your mailbox.
Well, it might be there. I'd have to go out there and check it. But I understand you get some pretty sweet deals. You would know all about it. Jim Strickler up here, same thing. Both you guys would know about it.
If you don't mind eating at 4:30 in the afternoon, which I know you don't.
I don't.
You do it at the ballpark every day.
That's exactly right. I mean, if there was ever someone, as far as their eating schedule is concerned, that is right up the AARP alley, it would be me. But I would like to say on this day, we just mentioned the incredible work over at Cincinnati Children's, the number 2 ranked children's hospital in the world. We talked for the grown-ups, the incredible work done by Dr. Kremchek and his staff over at Beacon Orthopedics. We have our daughter Ella going in for a hip surgery today, and just want to tell our little girl she's making her way out there right about now. Thoughts and prayers, and same for all those who are in that room with her, that all will be A-OK. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Jock Peterson. That is hit a long, long way, and this game is all tied up. The long one from Peterson. He's homered in back-to-back games.
Well, he got a high fastball last night, got a low and away fastball here on this particular afternoon, and that was a big boy home run.
That's a big boy home run. And we've seen Peterson do that. He did it in that home run derby competition here at Great American Ballpark 3 years ago. It's 20 home runs given up by DeSclafani. It should be noted 15 of the 20 have been solo home runs. He's not allowed a home run with more than 1 runner on base going all the way back to 2015. How about that?
That's a good tight slider that he throws, and he's been able to throw it for strikes. In fact, over the last 30 days, DeSclafani's control of his breaking pitches is number 1 in baseball. 76% strikes out of his off-speed stuff.
3-1 fastball, knee high on the inside corner, 3-1 to Turner. That's the first base runner of the game against DeSclafani, and Peterson touches them all. 3-1. Straight up in the air and playable in foul ground for Suarez. Machado grounded out on a nice play made by Peraza, ending a 1-2-3 first inning. Didn't miss by much. Ball one. I think DeSclafani's wondering where it did miss. Looked like a pretty good pitch on the inside corner to the right-handed batting shortstop.
Machado, always a highly touted young amateur player from down in the Miami area. He came in that draft, that 2010 draft, where Bryce Harper was at the top. Jameson Taillon went next, and then third pick in the draft was Machado. Matt Harvey on the Reds dugout, he wasn't too far behind. He was picked 7th by the Mets. That was also the year that the Reds picked 12th, and they picked up Yasmani Grandal.
Three balls and 2 strikes on Machado. Peraza, solo home run for the Reds in the first inning. Reds missed a golden chance to score in the third with a runner at third and 1 out. But Stripling able to work off the hook, and then after retiring the front 9, a home run by Peterson knots it up. Ground ball to short. Machado is thrown out for a second straight time by Peraza.
Clutch pitch right there, 3-2 slider. Got him out on the end of the bat. That's the one thing about DeSclafani, when he's throwing the ball the way he can, you really can't guess when he really needs a strike. He's so good with that breaking stuff in his control that you're not looking fastball. He's got a couple of options to go to. Walks have not been an issue for him.
So here's Max Muncy. He struck out his first time up. 1 run, 3 hits for the Reds. 1 run, 1 hit. And that ball is smoked into right. That'll fall in front of Schebler, a base hit. Inning will continue for the catcher Grandal.
Now Muncy really just turns on this. Just a fastball that DeSclafani's basically trying to muscle by him.
Breaking ball misses down and into Grandal. He struck out his first time up. Fastball in there, strike to even the count. Two and two. Grandal has not taken the bat off his shoulder through the first 4 pitches of this at bat. Peraza on the first base side of the second base bag out there as a shortstop. And the 2-2. Driven hard into deep right center field. He takes the bat off his shoulder, and we'll see. This might be coming back.
Yeah, that looks like that's fan interference right there. In fact, it's going to be called that way by the first base umpire immediately. David Rackley went out there and he saw the fan reach over the fence with the glove and taking that ball basically out of the field of play. So they're going to give him a double on that.
But this fan just saved a run.
Yeah, definitely saved the run right there.
That's good field awareness right there by that young man. Very, very good. I mean, really good. They're going to send the runner, Muncy, back to third base. Or are they going to let him score? And now Jim Riggleman is going to. They're going to say that the run would have scored.
Well,
which they're allowed to make, right?
You're trying to place the runners where you think the runner would have been.
Yep.
And this is what is being explained to by the home plate umpire, Chris Guccione, to Riggleman, saying there's no way. Because our relay system is very good. We would have had it back in time. Muncy doesn't run that well. How can you say now that he would have scored from first base on that? And Guccione would say, well, there are 2 outs. As soon as he hit the ball, he was off and running. And based on where he was, where we see that fan interfere, we think that he would have scored. And that's what Vanover's probably telling him.
I got to tell you, I find this fascinating because this has always been in the rule book, and I don't know if I've ever seen it actually called, where the umpiring crew on a quote-unquote ground rule double will say, we think the run would have scored. But it's always been in the rule book, and I've never seen it called this way. I don't know if you have or not. You've seen a lot more games over the years than I have, but
I don't know if I have or not. I do know that it is reviewable. So if Jim Riggleman wants, and I don't know whether placing the runners is reviewable or not. That is what Jim Riggleman is asking the umpire crew to find out, whether they can go on the headphones, go back to New York, and then have the guys in New York determine whether that run would have scored or not and where to place the run.
Well, it looks like they're going to take a look. I don't think there's any debate that they will be looking as to whether or not this is a home run.
No, they're not doing that. They're trying to find out where they would place the runner.
Sure.
Based on where the estimates went. See, the guys on the field don't have the advantage of a replay. They have to go by the live action.
Right.
So the guys in New York, which is they have a couple of different MLB umpire teams there, and they're looking at this, and they're gonna rerun the tape and see where Max Muncy was and gauge where he should have been.
And now they're going to send him back to third base.
No, they're going to let him score.
No, they're going to let him score. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they pointed to home.
All right, so that's the Dodgers' first lead, if you can believe this, in their last 34 innings against the Reds. So it goes as a run-scoring double for Grandal. Dodgers have scored twice on a Peterson home run, a 2-out single by Muncy, a 2-out double by Grandal, and a 1-run lead. Now Bellinger will be intentionally walked, and the Reds will face Kike Hernandez. It's the first walk given up by Anthony DeSclafani. He needs an out. Looks like the Dodgers might be going to their bullpen. We mentioned very early on this is the first start in over a month after going on the disabled list for Stripling. He's worked the front 3 of this one so far. Ball 1 to Hernandez. Dodgers have had a couple of pitchers up throwing in their bullpen, but everybody right now is sitting down, perhaps already loose, or perhaps they are not making the change quite yet. One and 0 on Hernandez. Dodgers with runners at first and second and 2 outs here in the top of the 4th inning. Jerked foul and out of play.
Now Hernandez way out in front of that little slider right there. He's an excellent fastball hitter. Kike is, also likes that ball up in the zone.
One ball and one strike on the Dodgers second baseman. Jam shot two hopper to Peraza, inning over, but the Dodgers strike for a pair and lead 2-1 after 3.5.
He had an all-star first half, led the National League in hitting at the break at .326, and now the question is, can he finish the season on top in this category, and what might that mean?
I would say until it's the last game of the year, and you know, then it would be real. It's not something that is going to make me feel some type of way about myself or about this year. It's just going to be one of those things like, wow, that's pretty cool that, you know, I'm on the top of the National League in hitting, but nothing more than that.
Last Red to win a batting title, Pete Rose in 1973 hit .338. Jeanette has today and 15 more games to go.
All righty, thank you very much, Brian. That'd be something else if Scooter Jeanette could win that batting title. He is due up second, and Stripling is still in the game for the Dodgers. We'll see if that lasts beyond this hitter, with 3 straight left-handed batters coming up after Eugenio Suarez. They had a left-hander, Ross Cup, up and throwing in between innings. Straight up in the air. This will be the first out of the inning. And let's see now what Dave Roberts decides to do. And here he comes. We thought perhaps after the first batter that would be all, and that is indeed the case as he gets Suarez on the pop-up to short center. So Stripling obviously does not figure in the decision, lasting 3 1/3 here today, but the Dodgers are more concerned about how well he threw the ball here today and moving forward, because if they're going to win this division, they're going to need this young man. He's had an excellent year. This will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Bottom of the fourth inning, and the change made by Dave Roberts. He'll bring in the left-hander Waskop.
Now, we saw him wearing a uniform of the Chicago Cubs when he first broke in the league at 25 years old. He's now 30, 5 years in the major leagues, 13th game for Waskop.
In the air down the left field line, and room in foul territory out there for Jock Peterson.
Having a little fun with the fans out there.
He was. They were waiting for him to give him the ball.
Yep, you're out.
A lot of Dodger fans down there. They're expecting him to give him a baseball. Here's Barnhart. He struck out swinging. His only time up. That's a pretty nasty pitch right there, tying up the right-handed batter from the left-hander on the mound. No balls and 2 strikes on Barnhart with 2 down, none on. Last of the fourth inning. Got him swinging on that breaking ball down in the zone, and that will retire the side. Tucker wondering if he had foul tipped that pitch. 2-1 Dodgers, end of 4. Right now, you can enjoy exclusive perks and benefits becoming a Red season ticket member. We invite you to visit Reds.com for details. Out on the scoreboard today. Boy, there was a time, looked like a much younger man.
There was a time you used to get presents and cake and everything, and now you get a good slap on the back. Welcome to the AARP era.
That's exactly right. Although I got to tell you, I mean, you know, you get all the happy birthday wishes, you know, from your wife and your kids. And my dad called me this morning, and from you guys and members of the crew. I got to tell you, it's pretty cool. In between innings, I get a text wishing me a happy birthday from Pete Rose.
Nice.
That's pretty cool. I'm not trying to name drop or be a big shot. It's just, that's pretty cool.
Oh, you weren't trying to. You just did.
I don't care. It's Pete Rose. I don't care. I mean, that guy when I was a little kid, the way those guys treated all the little kids who were running around back in those days, treated every single one of us like $1 million. Didn't matter if they were the biggest names in baseball, biggest names in sports. They were just the best. Still are to this day.
See, in all my
Great
years
blessing.
of having birthdays, I've never gotten a text from happy birthday from Pete Rose.
Really?
Because he's too busy receiving texts from other people wishing him happy birthday on the same day.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So maybe one of these days, you never know.
I'm going to have to remind Peter Edward of that. There's ball 4 to start the inning to Yasiel Puig. Puig thought he walked his first time up. So Ross Cup is out. I don't think they made part of a double switch. No, they did not. This will be Andrew Tolles, backup outfielder. So with the Dodgers leading 2-1, they're going to bring on their third pitcher of this game, despite the Reds only having been up to the plate in 4 innings of this one. Ross Cup, a perfect 2/3, retiring Jeanette and Barnhart with a strikeout. And that's all for Tolles as he looks at strike 3.
Well, that is about as perfect a backdoor slider as you're going to see all day long right here. I mean, it looks like it's going to just fly out of the strike zone. Instead, it comes tucking right back in on the edge.
It's 5 strikeouts in the game now for DeSclafani.
That's when you know he's throwing the ball well, when he starts throwing that pitch on the edges. That and that front door fastball inside the lefties.
Here's Jock Peterson. Flied out to right in the first inning and launched a massive home run to deep right center field to tie the game 1 inning ago. The Dodgers later in that 4th would take the lead on a single by Muncy and a RBI double from Yasmani Grandal. Told you this is a home run hitting Dodger outfit. They have now homered in 19 consecutive games, which is the longest home run streak in Los Angeles Dodgers history. Say Los Angeles because they had a longer one going all the way back to when they played in Brooklyn in 1953. They had a home run in 24 straight games. Today, the home run made it 20 in a row. They came in at 19, now at 20, after Peterson left the yard. And we've talked about it the entire series. The Dodgers have more home runs than any team in the National League, 204 of them. That is 14 more than the St. Louis Cardinals. Only the New York Yankees have more home runs in all of Major League Baseball. Not sure exactly what's going on with Yasiel Puig over there at first base, but the umpire had called timeout and sort of
cat and mouse going on. I think DeSclafani paying a little more attention to him. They think that DeSclafani may give them a little bit of an opening in trying to steal a base. This year he has given up 4 and they have caught stealing 4. He's somewhere around the 1.3 to 1.4 range as far as getting the ball to the plate.
One ball and 2 strikes on Peterson. Just served down the left field line into the corner. Puig on his way to third on a slap double down the left field line as they had to shift on the left-handed batting Peterson.
He's had some pretty good swings in this series. He unjammed the high fastball last night for a home run, took a low outside pitch out of here to right center, and this time just goes with it. Just a real educated swing.
Well, here comes Danny Darwin. The Reds had action in their bullpen. Left-hander Wandy Peralta down there getting loose. Now, generally, I can't remember us ever seeing Danny Darwin make a pitching change.
Well, again, you know, I don't know whether it's just coincidence or not, but this is, again, the 3rd time through the order. It's not only the Reds that have noticed, it's all throughout baseball. It seems like that is where starting pitchers have had the most problems this year.
Alrighty, so the Reds going to bring their infield in with the runners at 2nd and 3rd and 1 out. Justin Turner, the batter, and a breaking ball is low. Ball 1 to Turner. 0 for 2 in the game. Is popped up to very short center. That was a diving play made in the 1st inning by Hamilton.
You know, DeSclafani falls behind right here with the base open. There's no reason to feel like you have to force it to Turner.
Lined into center field. That'll be a base hit to bring in 1. They're waving around the 2nd runner. Here comes a throw by Billy, and it's not in time. Hamilton got tied up just slightly fielding that ball. Instead of fielding it off a bounce, maybe somewhere down around his knee, the ball came up on him and forced him to sort of get tied up momentarily up around his chest. And that may have been the difference between safe and out.
Well, the other difference was Jock Peterson just read this perfectly. You see the hesitation right there. He couldn't charge it as hard as he wanted to, but Peterson, I mean, he was busting it from the very time that ball came off the bat. He read it as a base hit, and he was waved around all the way. Chris Woodward, the third base coach.
Turner's first hit in this series. Reds had done a number on him. First game, he did walk a couple of times, but hitless and was 0 for 2 today. And then in money time, with second and third and only one out, he delivers the goods. Here's Manny Machado, 1 ball and 1 strike. Still just 1 out in the inning. Machado twice has bounced out to Jose Peraza, the Red shortstop. Just off the corner. Two balls and 2 strikes on Machado. Jam shot. Boy, he just got eaten alive by that pitch.
And didn't bother to get out of the batter's box, even though the ball was foul, but it was right on the line.
This has certainly been anything but an inspiring series for a player who is looking for a multi-year $100+ million contract as a free agent at the end of this year.
This ball is right on the line, and if Suarez thinks it's going to be fair, and if it is fair a little bit, then you can drop that ball and have an easy double play because your batter never got out of the batter's box.
We've already commented, we've seen 2 or 3 times outside of just that example where Machado wasn't even into a 50% run to first base on ground balls to the left side of the infield. Oh well. One ball and 1 strike on Max Muncy. Muncy 1 for 2 after Peterson had tied the game in the 4th with a home run. He came up with 2 outs, nobody on, had a single, and was waved in on a ground rule double off the bat of Grandal. That gave the Dodgers a 2-1 lead before striking for a pair of runs off DeSclafani here in the 5th, and I'm sure DeSclafani's day will be over after this 5th inning. He's due up second in the bottom half. Three-2, runners gets going, and that's a 3rd walk of the game for DeSclafani, and it's the 2nd walk in this inning. They might have to come get him now.
These are kind of pitch around walks. It looks like for me that he just didn't want to get barreled up, and they didn't really make a lot of hard contact except the ball was hit by, well, Peterson down the opposite field line, not really knocking the ball all over the place in this inning. And that will be all as Riggleman makes his way to the mound. So 3rd outing for DeSclafani where he can't get out of the 5th.
All right, we'll take a break in the action and back in a moment. walk of the game is given the hook by manager Jim Riggleman with runners at first and second, 2 outs. Yasmani Grandal, a switch hitter, coming to the plate, and they'll turn him around about right-handed. Wandy Peralta comes on the pitch. Peralta faced 3 batters in the game here on Monday night, and all 3 reached safely. 2 hits and a walk.
Unusual part of it is his line right there, where he has more walks than strikeouts this year.
In there, a strike to Grandal. Grandal in the year, right-handed, batting 290 at bats. He's at 250 batting left-handed. 20 of his 23 home runs have come as a left-handed batter. He had a run-scoring double his last time up to the right center field gap. Hit a home run here 2 nights ago. Grandal got ahead or fell behind at 1 ball and 2 strikes, and now the count is full, so the runners get started at first and second base. Turner, the runner, at second. Max Muncy leads at first. And here comes the payoff pitch to Grandal. And a base hit into right field. That will easily score Turner. And on to third goes Muncy, and the hits keep on coming for the Dodgers with 2 outs in this inning.
Yeah, this is the kind of offensive explosion that they expected to see a little earlier in this 3-game series. So one thing the Reds really haven't seen the Dodgers do all year long is put a lot of runs on the board. We mentioned in that 4-game series where the Reds swept them in LA, the Dodgers scored no more than 3 runs in any one of those games.
And it continues now for Cody Bellinger. He has bounced to second base and been intentionally walked. A 5-1 Dodger lead, but a long way to go in this one. We're just in the 5th inning. One ball, 1 strike on Bellinger. Jeanette to the glove side, and it's under his glove into right field. That'll bring in another run. Just didn't get down on it. That'll be an error.
Well, put on the ground, and he looks like he's right there to get it, and the ball just stayed down on him. With 2 outs, that would have gotten the Reds out of the inning.
Now Kike Hernandez, the batter. He is the 9th Dodger to come to the plate in this inning. This entire inning began with a walk to Yasiel Puig. 1 out later, a double by Peterson, 2-run single by Turner. Got a pop up for an out. Then DeSclafani walked his 2nd batter of the inning. They bring in Peralta. He gives up an RBI single, and now has Bellinger reach on an error to bring in another run. All of these runs charged to Anthony DeSclafani, that final run unearned. So his final line reads as 4 2/3 innings, gives up 5 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned. He walked 3, 1 intentionally, and struck out 5. Two and 2 on Hernandez. Two and 2 the count on Hernandez with 2 on and 2 out. And once more a foul ball. Reds have certainly, they have to hope that Peralta can find a way to bounce back from this very tough year. As we talked on so many occasions through the first 4.5 months, almost 5 months of last year, he was as good as any left-handed setup pitcher in the game. But he was used frequently, perhaps ran out of steam over the last month and a half, which inflated some great numbers into some still very good numbers. This ball in the air down the right field line. Schebler makes a catch in foul ground to end the inning. Dodgers get 4 and lead by 5. Books this year. Get to know GAPP's king of the keyboard. And why did Joey Votto swap a jersey for a fan's t-shirt last week in Pittsburgh? Reds Weekly, presented by Miami Valley Gaming, airs tonight at 6 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming on Fox Sports Go. Caleb Ferguson, a left-hander, comes on from the Dodger bullpen. He'll follow the left-hander Ross Cup, who got the final 2 outs in relief of Stripling in the 4th.
Ferguson, a young man who is only 22 years old. Big, tall left-hander, 6'3", 215 pounds. He's a guy who's from Reds country. Drafted by the Dodgers, 38th round from West Jefferson High School in West Jefferson, Ohio. First time around here in the major leagues. 24 games, 3 starts.
Well, the Reds have Williams, Peralta spot next, and Dilson Herrera standing there in the on-deck circle, and then to Billy Hamilton trailing by 5, but we're only in inning number 5. Breaking ball and a half swing trying to hold up. That's all for Williams. So Ferguson picks up the quick strikeout, and now he'll face a right-handed batting Dilson Herrera.
Pretty good looking curveball for Ferguson. He was a young man that when he was a senior in high school, he was projected to be a much higher draft pick. But he ended up having Tommy John surgery his senior year. That was 2014. So he fell down the draft. The Dodgers picked him up in the 38th round, and he decided to take the Dodgers up on their offer and not go down to play baseball at West Virginia, where he had been committed.
Mountaineers. It's a beautiful campus here in Morgantown, West Virginia. Whoa, what a beautiful country that is. Two 2-0 on Dilson Herrera. Started 2, laid off. 12 hits. This is his 67th at bat for Herrera. He's walked 7 times. He has 3 home runs and 8 runs batted in. He has seen next to 0 playing time here of late after getting a little bit. I mean, you would never say he got any regular playing time since being brought up all the way back in July. And that's all for Herrera. So with 2 away, it'll be Billy Hamilton. Back-to-back strikeouts for Ferguson since coming on from the pen. Reds have Amir Garrett throwing in their bullpen, so this might be his first appearance since coming off the disabled list. One-two to Hamilton. Breaking ball and chopped straight into the ground, rolling foul. Reds will travel on an off day tomorrow, and this is a lengthy trip. A long one indeed. Their final road trip of the year. They'll play 3 games in Chicago, 3 games in Milwaukee, followed by a 4-game series in Miami. Hooked into left field, and a diving attempt by Peterson, can't get there. Hamilton making a turn, burning for third base. Throw is offline, and a 3-base hit for Billy Hamilton. A double and a triple now for Billy today. Great effort out there by Peterson. Just missed it.
You know, I think even if he fields this ball, Billy Hamilton has a double, so he didn't have a lot to lose. Hamilton negotiates a pretty good curveball right there, and he hits it down the left field line with a little hook on it.
So now a chance to get a run closer as Schebler makes his way to the plate. Scott has drawn a walk, been thrown out trying to steal, and bounced out to the second baseman Hernandez in the 3rd inning. Hamilton at third, 2 are out. Ball and 1 strike on Schebler. Comes back with a fastball after a couple of breaking balls, and Ferguson's got a little giddy up on that fastball.
Yeah, nice easy motion that Ferguson has out there. He's got a big body for a pitcher, big strong kid.
Well, what do you expect? He's a native Buckeye, as you mentioned.
Ooh.
95 on the high heat to end the inning. He strikes out 3, allows a hit. 6-1 LA at the end of 5.
Game 30 minutes before first pitch, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. The Big Ten game homestand or a road trip on the way, and today Jim Riggleman announced some changes to the Reds starting rotation. With the off day tomorrow, they'll essentially skip Tyler Mahle and bump a couple of guys up. Matt Harvey starts the series in Chicago on Friday, but then on Saturday, it will now be Cody Reed, followed by Luis Castillo, Anthony DeSclafani. As far as the next turn in the rotation, they'll wait to decide exactly who fits in there, but Riggleman with a little bit of a vote of confidence for Reed today, saying that he's a big part of the future or a real factor for the plan next year, and they'd like to continue to get a look at Reed in the rotation, not knowing yet if his future is there or possibly in the bullpen.
All righty, Brian, thank you for that update. Well, it has been a long time since we have seen Amir Garrett. Just came off the disabled list, and the first pitch he throws is in the air to left center field, and that is off the wall for Yasiel Puig, and that'll be a double. As Garrett was reinstated on Monday. Last time he pitched was the 25th of August. It's been a very, very strange year for Amir Garrett. I mean, he was as good as any left-hander out of the bullpen in the National League for the first half of the season. Had a 1.9 ERA first couple of months. His last 31 games, however, that earned run average is over 7. And the season at .421. Here's David Freese, a batter. He'll come up and pinch hit for Ferguson, who struck out 3, allowed 1 hit in his only inning. Two 2-0 on Freese, just picked up a little over 2 weeks ago and has played very well when given the chance to play so far for the Dodgers. I mean, he was finally rolling in Pittsburgh after a very, very slow start to the year. Wasn't getting a lot of playing time. Colin Moran had taken over at third. Of course, they had Josh Bell over at first, but then started to get more and more playing time and turned it on. Just short of a .290 batter. 10 home runs and 45 knocked in. It's a guy you may remember who won a National League Championship Series Most Valuable Player Award, and in that same postseason won the World Series Most Valuable Player Award. That was in 2011. That run for the Cardinals. He hit over 500 in the league championship series and almost 350 in the World Series, and at the time set an all-time record for runs batted in a single postseason.
Became a true hometown hero.
No question about that. Remember still seeing those highlights. You had to stay up very late to watch those games because the Rangers and the Cardinals were playing till the early morning hours, slugging it out. Had the big home run in game 6, sending it to game 7. Wow. And the runner takes off for third. That ball was a fastball that bounced, or it looked like a fastball anyway.
It wasn't fastball. I mean, normally when you see a ball bounce in front of home plate, you take a hard look at it and say, what the heck was that? But when you find out it was a fastball, that's a dangerous pitch for anybody behind home plate.
Chris Taylor will be the scheduled hitter coming up there to bat for Jock Peterson. Peterson's got to wonder what in the world do I have to do to stay in a game. Hit a home run here last night. In a game today, he's got another home run. He also has a double and scored a run. And yet with a 5-run lead against a left-handed pitcher, they take him down in the 6th inning. I know there are a lot of holes in Peterson's game, but I'll tell you, I still think that he'd be an interesting player to watch over the course of the year if he played all the time.
Yeah, it looks like to me he makes adjustments.
Yeah.
And if you don't, in this kind of a ball game, if you expect him to ever become an everyday player, maybe there's no such thing anymore in Dodger uniforms, but how are you ever going to get him to learn how to hit against left-handers if you don't let him do that in a game?
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head, though, by the prior sentence. I mean, this is a franchise. And you know, I don't even give him the whole sabermetrics Billy Ball thing, because you don't spend $250 million on payroll and consider yourself a money ball team. But they do very much buy into the whole sabermetrics and analytics, and they're taking down batters much like the A's do when you watch them play. Difference is the Dodgers are sending up guys that are making $18 million. And the A's are sending up guys making $1.8 million.
Yeah, and I think it goes deeper than that. What you're talking about there, Tom, is really only the major league roster. When you have the kind of income and the payroll that the Dodgers do, you can pay your minor league players a lot more money and go out and sign cream of the crop minor league free agents, so that if you do have to dip into the minors to bring up a player, you've got a guy that's had some big league time, not somebody that you just brought up the week before from Double-A.
Nothing in 2 on Justin Turner after the strikeout of Taylor. 1 out in the inning, and he could use another K. And did he get it? They appeal. No. Now, in fairness to Dave Roberts, Jock Peterson in his career is only a 177 batter against left-handed pitching, but he barely has over 300 plate appearances, and you're talking about a number of seasons for Peterson. This ball is killed by Turner, and that's up against the wall. Puig will score. They're going to hold the runner at third. RBI double by Turner, who did not have a hit the first 2 games of this series. He has 2 hits in each of his last 2 trips with 3 knocked in.
Pretty much right down Broadway right there, and if Justin Turner was going to put a ball on a tee, that would be about the place he would put it.
Now an intentional walk will be given to Machado, which will load the bases for Max Muncy. Left-handed batter. Do they let him bat? They will let him bat. Muncy against left-handed pitching this year is batting .275 with 8 home runs. That's not bad. In fact, that's pretty good. Dodgers with a 7-1 lead. All 7 runs have come in the last 3 innings. You may remember through the first 3 innings, they did not have a single base runner in this game against Anthony DeSclafani. And then Jock Peterson homered, opening the floodgates. 1-1. Fastball on the outside corner. Ball and 2 strikes on Muncy. And it's too low to even to count. Big pitch coming up here. You're already down by 6. You're in the 6th. Dodgers have them loaded with only 1 out. Three balls and 2 strikes on Muncy with nowhere to put him. And Garrett to the plate. Came with a fastball and it's fouled out of play.
That is Matt Whistler down in the Reds bullpen.
So Garrett trying to kick off some of the rust out here today. He's given up a run so far, and the bases are loaded with 1 out. 3 balls, 2 strikes on Muncy. And a little flare into center will be handled by Peraza. The runners stay put. Nice job there by Garrett. And this is going to be Jim Riggleman coming out of the dugout, and they're going to once again make a change before facing Yasmani Grandal. You may remember the last time they faced Grandal, they brought in a left-hander, forcing him to bat right-handed. That's when Wandy Peralta entered the game, and Grandal had an RBI single. This time they'll take out the left-hander Garrett. Grandal will bat from the left side against the right-hander Whistler. So we're back in a moment. And a happy birthday today to Matt Whistler, turning 26 years young. He'll come on to pitch, facing Yasmani Grandal. Bases loaded for the Dodgers. And a line drive into right field, and that's another base hit for Grandal. So that is the second time the Reds have brought in a reliever to face Grandal with the exact same end result, whether it's as a right-handed batter or now a left-handed batter. An RBI single.
He comes out of the batter or the on-deck circle ready to swing the bat. Grandal does, and figures he's getting a strike with the bases loaded. Boy, that's a pretty powerful looking swing by Yasmani Grandal.
Here's Cody Bellinger. Dodgers have scored 8 runs in the last 3 trips to the plate. 2 in the 4th, 4 in the 5th, 2 here in the 6th. Oh boy, look out. Look out. It's well beyond the screen down there, and that ball scalded by Bellinger.
May not want to try to barehand that one.
On the ground, down on one knee this time, Jeanette, and the inning is over. Dodgers leave them loaded, but they come up with a couple of runs and lead big. Ball brought to you by T-Mobile. The one-time Dodgers, Brandon Dixon, Scott Schebler, hitting home runs last night. And then today, Jose Peraza, all 3 coming in one trade. How about that? And one trade going back the other way had nothing to do with the acquisition of those 3 players. Occurred earlier this year after he got off to such a great start pitching for the Reds as right-hander Dylan Floro.
Had a couple of prospects for Floro. They wanted to flip him because it didn't cost them much to get Floro in the first place, and the Dodgers put him to good use in their bullpen. I think the Reds really missed him in middle relief there. To kind of, he was having such a good year, just a solid guy to be able to come in, give you a couple of innings here and there.
Peraza to be followed by Joey Votto. And then Eugenio Suarez. The Reds on the short end of an 8-1 game. We have played 5.5 innings here today so far. White at Machado. One away.
When the Reds were back in Los Angeles earlier this year in the month of May the 12th it actually was. It was a game that was started by Ross Stripling for the Dodgers against the Reds, and Homer Bailey on the mound. The Reds scored, I think, 4 runs in the 6th inning in that ball game. Come back and take that win away from the Dodgers and got Homer Bailey his only win of the season. But they have scored, the Dodgers that is, 4 runs here in the 5th and 2 more in the 6th.
Joey today 1 of 2 as a single to center field and then struck out looking, ending the 3rd inning. And Floro delivers a fastball on their strike to even the count. Sharply hit, but in short right field. Play is made by Hernandez, and Floro, a pair of ground ball outs to begin this Cincinnati 6th inning. Now it's Suarez. The Eugenio Suarez a batter. Is lined to right and popped up to shallow center field. Two balls and 2 strikes on Suarez. Jeanette hoping for a chance here in the Cincinnati 6th inning with a man aboard. Floro with other thoughts. 2-2. And a line drive caught by the second baseman will end the inning. Floro a perfect 6th. Dodgers bat in the 7th, leading by 7.
September 28th. You can see the Redlegs take on the Pirates for as low as $12 and stick around after the game for the last post-game fireworks show of the season presented by Adams Recovery. For tickets, go to Reds.com.
September the 12th, 1952, the first team to ever wear protective headgear, the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Now, that protective headgear may have been inserts that they put inside their hats. I mean, you know, helmets that we're looking at right now, I mean, they didn't come around until very recently. In fact, for a long, long time, even until I think the 90s, that players had an option as to whether they were even going to use an ear flap or not.
And a lot of them didn't. Fly ball center field with Whistler still on the mound, retiring Hernandez to open the LA 7th inning.
And the ironic thing is now you probably need them less than ever, because there's hardly any pitchers that are throwing inside, not like back in the heydays of when pitchers were, you know, knock you down and then scowl at you.
And then do it the next pitch if they missed you the first time. Here's Puig. Fisted into right center field. It'll fall in a hit. Third straight inning now that Puig has reached base. 2 hits and a walk. Tim Fedorovich comes in to do the catching. Was brought up on the 4th from Louisville along with Gabriel Guerrero, and Tyler Mahle brought back up. Red signed him in July. Actually, the first week of August after he had been let go in the Houston organization.
Been around a while. He's now 31 years old, or 30 years old, Fedorovich is, and originally made his major league debut back in 2011 as a Los Angeles Dodger. In fact, if you count up the number of games played in the major leagues, Fedorovich has more with the Dodgers than any other team. He's also played for the Cubs, the Giants, the Astros.
Alex Verdugo comes on to pinch hit. He was a starter in each of the first couple of games in this series. One ball and 2 strikes on Verdugo.
Now, when Tim Fedorovich played for the Dodgers in 2014, think about this turnover. The only 3 players that remain on the roster from then till now are Yasiel Puig, Justin Turner, and
Kershaw.
Well, I mean,
your position players. I'm sorry.
Players, and Jock Peterson. And Matt Kemp was on the ball club that year. Then he moved on and then came back.
Yep. They're very high on this Alex Verdugo. He had a very, very good year at AAA this year in over 90 games. You can call it a hitter's league. You can call it whatever you want to call it. He hit .329. He had 10 home runs, 19 doubles, knocked in 44.
Interesting batting style, though. If you start breaking them down, then you ask yourself, how many really great hitters around baseball have adopted this particular style, where he's kind of straight up like that. I see he's holding it. It's just, I'm not sure that he will not eventually adapt as things progress. When that ball is coming, he's lifting his leg up and he's almost standing on one leg back there.
Well, he just turned 22.
The other thing I notice about him is that when he starts to look at the baseball, seriously look at it coming in, his head's moving down a little bit. And anytime your head's moving, it's normally not a good thing.
That's a swing and a miss for the second out. Stealing second base is Puig. Chase Utley's going to be sent up there to pinch hit. This will be the final plate appearance, more than likely, for Chase Utley here at Great American Ballpark. What a terrific career he has had. I think some of the fans recognize that, and some are standing and cheering. Maybe those who live in and around the tri-state area that grew up Dodger fans. I mean, you can be a Reds fan and be a fan of Chase Utley. He's always carried himself so well on and off the field. I know for those of us who work in the SPCA Humane Society world, this guy has been a godsend, and he's been a great player for a long, long time. Has decided at the end of this year, that's it.
But he's had a really great career against the Reds, even though he never played in the same division. Played in 93 games against the Reds, a .290 hitter. 20 home runs and 58 driven in his career.
He will be 40 years young in December. Made his major league debut on April the 4th of 2003. Jeanette will throw out Utley, and that's it for the Dodgers in the 7th. They stand and stretch. Dodgers lead 8-1. Of Ohio last week, and now it's Alabama. A&M Bearcats Insider, presented by Columbia Hyundai Genesis, goes inside the strong start. We'll look at this weekend's game tonight at 6:30 on Fox Sports Ohio and streaming on Fox Sports Go. Good start for Luke Fickell's Bearcats. A lot of teams off to great starts in and around the area. Ohio State With a big one this weekend, Ohio University off and running. Favorites in the MAC, Kentucky undefeated. Jeff Picoro's been following that team. Their big win down at Florida. UC 2-0. Good stuff. Even Indiana's 2-0, as I'm reminded by John Browdy. Better live in the moment.
They got the Buckeyes on the calendar October the 6th.
They do? You going to that game?
Yes, I am.
Are you really? At the Horseshoe?
Haven't been in the Horseshoe in many, many, many years.
Oh, that's great.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Verdugo remains in a game to play left field. We've seen him play a couple different positions here. And on the mound, we talked a lot about him the other day, the only ambidextrous pitcher in Major League Baseball. He is pitching left-handed to the left-handed batting Scooter Gennett, Pat Venditti.
With Barnhart out of the game, unless he gets all the way down to Hamilton, we won't have a repeat of what we had the other night, which is Venditti facing a switch hitter and having to declare ahead of time which way he's going to pitch. So the hitter can declare which way he wants to hit. Of course, the hitter's not bound to stay in one box or the other. He just can't switch sides in the middle of the pitch.
And a base hit into left center field by Scooter.
What else is new?
What else is new is right.
Look at him stay right in there. Venditti drops down to a low arm angle to try to get the left-handed hitter a little bit, to pull off of it a little bit, and Scooter just doesn't do it. He keeps his head right on the baseball.
Fedorovich batting for the first time, pops it up, and the second baseman Taylor out there to get it. Or Hernandez, I beg your pardon, one away in the inning. They've got so many moving parts. This Dodger team in many ways is reminiscent of the Chicago Cubs, where you can see a player one day playing in left field, the next day he's playing at second base. And they have a few of those guys. Seen Bellinger play center field, seen him play first base, seen Muncy play the corner positions, play a little bit of outfield, today playing first base. Mason Williams down a strike. Brandon Dickton has moved out into the on-deck circle. Foul ball. And Williams out of there on strikes for the second out of the inning. StatCast AI powered by AWS. That home run we saw here last night off the Brandon Dixon. This ball was hammered. .4. The second fastest in the StatCast era by a Cincinnati Red. And that goes back just to 2015, and now are we going to have a pitching change here in an 8-1 game with the runner at first and 2 outs in the 7th inning?
Hey, you better not second guess that Cray supercomputer.
We'll be back in a moment. Right-handed to the right-handed batting Brandon Dixon, so they bring on the right-hander Josh Fields to face him. So he's batting 4 is Dixon. Whistler goes an inning and a third of one-hit shutout baseball. Had a strikeout. Did a nice job. And Fields, a first pitch breaking ball away from Dixon. One ball and 2 strikes on Brandon Dixon. And that's all for Dixon and the Reds. Fields comes in to get the strikeout. End of 7, 8-1, Dodgers in front. on car insurance. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. I remember, Chris, when we were sitting in spring training and we saw this young man, Jesus Reyes, come into a game, and you were talking about, some pretty impressive numbers that he had put together in the minor leagues. Now, this year has not gone quite as well for Reyes, but I know you liked him.
Well, he's in the big leagues this year, which is a good thing for Reyes. 25 years old. He pitched in A-ball and in AAA so far this year. The Reds had just been able to call him up recently because he was down in AA. And, of course, the AA team was in the postseason. Overall this year, pitched in 38 games, combined AA, AAA, a .417 earned run average.
The thing about Reyes is, Chris, he was already at home. And the Reds decided, let's get him out here and give him a chance to perhaps show a little something here the last couple of weeks. And he's out there today. Good for him. It's his third stint with the Reds this season. He was with the team for 1 day in May. That's when the team was in Arizona. He didn't pitch and was on the roster for 5 days. Made his only major league appearance on the 4th in D.C. And he's retired the first 2 batters here in the 8th inning. Good for Jesus Reyes. I see what you mean. Reds have won the first 6 games against the Dodgers this season, and barring a miracle comeback, it will be the Reds' first loss in 7 against Dave Roberts' team. They'll try and inch closer to the top spot in the National League West. Arizona will play game 3 in Denver later tonight. The Rockies a game and a half better than the Dodgers, 2.5 in front of Arizona. And in that wild card race, Brewers have a game and a half lead over the Cardinals, and the Cardinals have a 3-game lead over the Dodgers, 4 better than the D-backs. And there's a 2-out walk to Mac Muncy. So Max will trot on down to first base. 3rd time he's been on today, and now it's Grandal who's had a big day. Struck out his first time since then. RBI double, RBI single, and another single. He's knocked in 3 runs today as Grandal. The 2 runs in that 6th inning, both charged to Amir Garrett, his first game back in over 3 weeks. Whistler, an inning and a third of 1-hit shutout ball. Votto coming on to get it, and that will retire the side. Well done by Jesus Reyes. How about that? Performance Kings Honda. How about that? Cutting out on a class today to watch Billy. Fields came on to get the final out in the last inning, and he delivers to Billy. It's popped up very short left field. And Machado over to get it for the first out here in the Cincinnati eighth.
First time they've been able to keep Billy off the bases.
Yeah, he's had a good game today, a double and a triple. Pulled foul by Schebler. In the air left side, Machado, the lone defender over on that side, will run it down. And the first two retired by Fields here in the eighth inning. And now for tonight's IGS, bringing the energy, the one-time Los Angeles Dodger, Jose Peraza, now in 16 career games. How about those numbers against LA? 25 hits and 60 at-bats. Hit a home run today, scored 10 runs. 4 doubles, couple of bombs. Very nice.
Yeah, these are the kind of numbers that keep some teams from trading away prospects for other players. But if you're the Dodgers, you just move on. You sign a superstar, or you go trade for somebody who's established, and you don't really worry about it. But he's got to be very proud of what he has done. Come a long way, Jose Peraza has.
Peraza 1 of 3 today. Hit that home run for the Reds' only run when they were out to a 1-0 lead. They had that lead all the way until the 4th inning. Peterson tied it with a homer. Then the Dodgers would add another in the 4th, a 4-run 5th, a 2-run 6th, and an 8-1 lead. One ball and 2 strikes on Peraza. 2 down, nobody on. Straight up in the air, and this will end the inning. We are off to the 9th. Final game of this homestand. 8-1, Dodgers in front.
Our community to end cancer as we knock cancer out of the park. Arrive early for a pregame on-field ceremony and be one of the first 30,000 fans to receive an exclusive t-shirt. Plus participate in special recognition at the end of the 5th inning. Let's come together to knock cancer out of the park. You can help. Visit reds.com/knockout. That is September the 29th, a 4:10 afternoon game. That's a Saturday. Hope to see you out here for that.
And that'll be we talked about it with Phil Castellini on the air last night, of being able to make Cincinnati a designated cancer city, and what a big deal it is, especially considering the cancer rates of the tri-state area. Each of the 3 states, Cincinnati, or Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky, each ranking in the top 10 for most cases of cancer in the United States. Jackson Stevens takes on the mound, and he'll be facing Cody Bellinger to begin the Dodgers' 9th inning. Bellinger is 0 for 3, has drawn a walk intentionally. And now Stevens, the 0-1 pitch. Big swing and a miss. Pirates are leading the Cardinals that game in the 8th inning at Busch Stadium 4-1. And Bellinger out of there on strikes. So Stevens with a strikeout, the first batter he faces. And that will bring Kike Hernandez to the plate. Eight runs, 10 hits, 9 left on base for the Dodgers. Reds have 1 run, 5 hits in air. They've stranded 4. At this point in time, it would be what Caleb Ferguson, the pitcher of record for the Dodgers, went 1 inning, struck out 3 batters, allowed a hit. And Anthony DeSclafani is the pitcher of record for the Redlegs. That ball hit hard into right, but Schebler has room in front of the wall, and that's out number 2 in the Dodgers' 9th inning. Yasiel Puig has reached in 3 straight plate appearances after striking out his first time up in the 3rd inning. Walked, scored in the 5th, doubled, scored in the 6th, singled, stole a base in the 7th. Dodgers have their closer getting loose. Obviously nowhere close to being a safe situation, but we have not seen Kenley Jansen this entire series. And another base hit for Puig. It's his 4th straight time to reach base. Verdugo will bat for the second time. He struck out as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning. Reds will have the heart of their order get one more crack at him in the 9th inning, so that's probably the reason why Votto, Suarez, and Janet are even in this game. I mean, you've been getting whacked since the 6th inning. Three and 0 on Verdugo. And Stevens a pause. And a pitch coming. In there, a strike. Well, there's a walk with 2 outs. Brian Dozier bats for the first time. He started the first game of this series. We've not seen him since, and after a pitch high and tight coming out to visit is Fedorovich. 5 in a row missed out of the strike zone from Jackson Stevens. Dozier, all-star second baseman with Minnesota, came over at the deadline from the Twins. Not been nearly as good this year as he has in past years. Tech, you'd have one heck of a scrimmage game if the Dodgers played the Dodgers. Here's a pop-up to Peraza, and that will retire the side. So we are off to the bottom of the 9th inning. Dodgers with an 8-1 lead. On a plane for the final road trip of the season, and it's a long one. Chicago over the weekend, 3 days in Milwaukee, and that's a night game on Wednesday night. The team probably doesn't get into Miami, I'm guessing, till at least 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning after a night game in a central time zone. And then a 4-gamer against the Marlins down there. One more homestand remains, 2 against Kansas City on the 25th and 26th. And then the final 3 here at Great American Ballpark against the Pirates to close out the 2018 season. Kenley Jansen is a Dodgers closer. Had a health scare earlier this year.
Yeah, still does, really. Jansen could not make the trip with the Dodgers to Colorado because of a heart issue. And they decided that the high altitude and thin air was not good for him, so he skipped that series, stayed at home in Los Angeles, met the team here in Cincinnati, and will probably have surgery, heart surgery, over the winter in the offseason.
It's an irregular heartbeat he was diagnosed with, and obviously that's not the kind of thing you're going to tinker around with in any form or fashion. So we certainly send our thoughts to him, and not only the remainder of this season, good health, but the remainder period. 1 ball and 1 strike. Joey, a single in the first inning, has since struck out and bounced to second base. 1 ball and 1 strike. In the air right field, and drifting back and making the play is Puig. That's the first out here in the Reds' 9th inning.
Well, Jansen, not one of the premier closers in the game, but it wasn't always that way. He was originally signed by the Los Angeles Dodgers as an undrafted free agent. He's from Curacao, and as a catcher. And he was in the minor leagues with them for a catcher. In fact, he played with the Netherlands in the World Baseball Classic. If you remember, that seems like a long time ago, but in 2009, as a catcher, he threw out Willie Taveras trying to steal third base in that contest, and people were amazed at his arm. And when he couldn't hit much as a catcher, they decided to put him on the mound, and boy, that turned out to be a great decision.
Did it ever, for him and the franchise.
Now, Jansen has a pitch that has a natural cut, similar to the pitch that Mariano Rivera used throughout his incredible major league career. Just by the way he releases it with a high arm angle, kind of cuts the ball in half as he follows through, and it naturally just runs away from right-handers a little bit.
Two balls and a strike on Eugenio Suarez. Reds with 1 out, nobody on. Jam shot there. Wow.
In fact, there was the former Dodger and knuckleballer Charlie Huff. Remember Charlie Huff?
Sure.
He was the minor league coach that was assigned to try to get Jansen to, make the conversion from catcher to pitcher.
Charlie Huff had a nice career.
Oh, great career.
Knuckleball specialist, but he was just a very, very good pitcher for a long time.
Charlie was the first Ranger, that's a strike 3, that I saw when I got called up from AAA to go to the big league team. I walked by with my bag by the workout room, and there's a guy on the exercise bicycle reading the newspaper, smoking a cigarette, in uniform, full uniform, and it was Charlie Huff. He goes, another 5 minutes and I'll be ready.
How about that? That wasn't such a foreign sight back in those days.
No, not at all. I mean, he had an ashtray there and everything.
I mean, smoke him if he got him, I reckon. pop up, and this ought to do it. So the Dodgers avoid being swept by the Reds in all 7 games this year by winning the 7th game by a 7-run margin. 8-1 our final score. Reds Live, the postgame is coming up next. We'll look forward to seeing you from Chicago beginning on Friday.